Hello, my name is James Wyatt, and I am a runner. And you are on the Running with James podcast. Thank you for joining us today. I'm joined today by our producer, executive producer. What else are you?
The Big Rock Dog.
The Big Rock Dog, the reigning track champion.
Reigning track champion.
Hasn't been back since.
Yep.
Rocky, the legend Gonzalez. Mm-hmm. We also have Lauren.
What up?
Never
our
not
co-host.
working.
Huh?
Never not working.
Always busy, getting it in,
What up?
training. I'm trying to think of something that rhymes with training.
Nothing. Complaining.
No, nothing doesn't actually
Complaining.
rhyme with training. Complaining. Actually, yeah, that does work
That
well.
works.
Yeah. Working, twerking.
That is true too.
Yeah, all those are actually 100% true.
Yep.
Yep.
100%.
How's everybody today?
Doing good, James. Doing good.
Yeah. Lauren seems like she's doing good.
I am on another level of stress right now.
Ah, there it is.
You know, my MO.
Dun 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 dun.
Dun, dun.
Ah, Life of Lauren.
Life of Lauren.
There it is.
Level of stress. I live the stress life.
All right, guys. So here's the deal. Last week, I talked about that shoe, right? Remember the shoe? Adidas Evo 1?
Yep.
It went live 17 minutes ago. You could have bought a pair.
For $500.
Could have bought a pair. I went on to see.
You could have bought a pair.
And you could sign up. But
My
here's the
budget.
thing. It was like a kind of what do you call it? A lottery.
Yeah.
But if you entered the lottery and you won, you had to buy it.
Oh, was it the Adidas app?
Yeah, on the Adidas app.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did you also have to like give him your firstfirstborn and like
No,
put a blood
no,
contract
no, 'cause
in?
I went through the whole process.
Did you actually?
Yeah,
And
you gotta put your card in.
And you had to put your card in. I was like,
Because if you hit, you can't say no.
I was like, I don't know.
I would have loved to have had. I wanted to be in the room for the conversation with you and Leah.
I
After you have to
never
explain
win
that.
anything. Okay, let's understand that.
You're
like,
not
when I say I
Lillian.
don't win anything, like
You're not Lillian.
When I enter competitions, like enter to win a free pair of shoes or enter to win,
Be the ninth caller to get free tickets.
Never. I've never even. One time I won with the run group at the end of the season. The run group had giveaways. They had like a entry thing, and I won. But they were giving away like leftover clothes.
Yeah, I won that too. As well.
You won
I won like 8
hand-me-downs.
shirts. I was
And it
like,
was from the previous season too.
Yeah, it was like last season's stuff,
Yeah.
right? I won a bunch of that, right? But I never win anything. This would be the one thing I won because it was going to cost me $500.
Yeah.
Right? So, but I have a feeling the reason they did that is because this past weekend was the Berlin Marathon, right? And the female world record was broken.
How do you say her last name? Asafra?
Asafa.
Asa-
Her last name is
Asafa.
I'm
Asafa, I
gonna
think.
butcher that.
T-I-G-S-T.
Tigis
Asafa.
Asafa.
She's
I'm sorry for
Ethiopian,
butchering it.
I believe.
She is
Ethiopian.
Ethiopian.
And she broke the women's world record by 3 minutes.
No,
Little over
3-2.
two.
Little over 2.
It was 2:14 and now it's 2:11.
Oh.
Oh, it's official now?
Yeah, she ran a 2:11 something,
Okay.
2:11:34 something. And I know it was 2:14, so maybe with the seconds it's only maybe it's 2:58. I don't know.
Yeah, with just under 3.
Either way,
Yeah.
she ran a 2:11.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
I literally have it on my screen right
And you know
here.
what shoe she was wearing?
Yeah. I saw the video.
You know what shoe she was
She
wearing.
had, there's that big video
and I don't know
now
if they
of her
talked
like
to her
kissing
beforehand, but afterwards, yeah, she was kissing on it.
before
Everyone
the
else
drop,
was like
she
click,
got
click,
the-
click, click.
She wore 'em?
Well, I mean, she's a Adidas athlete, so
Yeah.
Oh,
that was
that's
the claim
Have
to
you not
great
seen-
fame.
oh, you haven't seen that
promo.
video?
I haven't seen the
There's a
promo.
video like of her
She
crossing
took the
finish and
shoes
literally
off.
takes it off and starts kissing
She's
it.
kissing it. She's holding the shoe up.
She is plugging.
Talk about marketing, bro.
Plugging.
That's great marketing.
And then,
It's
lo and
everywhere.
behold, 2
Everyone's
days
buying it.
later,
you can get them yourself.
you can get it yourself, but you have to sign up for it.
I got
but we
the
have plenty
Confirm
of
app,
them,
too.
right? So I thought that was tight. I bet you they're gonna sell every single one of them suckers and then some.
Again, the day that you actually decide to buy them, I want to be in the room when you
There's
explain
no way
that
I'm
to
spending.
Leah.
No, there's no way I'm spending.
I would
$500.
love to
the
hear
thing
that
is,
conversation.
the resale value
There's no way.
is already.
I
I'm
would say
pretty
you
sure.
should know. You should do that. You should buy them just to get resell
To
them for
resell.
a markup.
Yeah, that maybe is a different story.
That might be something she'd be okay with.
I don't know. If you could, here's the deal. I'm gonna be completely transparent. If I knew I could get like regular wear out of the shoe, like 200-300 miles,
Not 5 times.
right, and I could wear it more than for one race, then they probably would have a sell. I would probably buy a pair, right?
And that ain't in my budget.
But it's just there's no way I could justify that.
It's like one race, 3 races.
One race.
Yeah, I can't do
Yeah.
that.
One race. She took the shoe off,
And that's it.
kissed it, and then threw it in the trash.
I think it's about time we start a
She didn't really throw it in
Patreon.
the trash.
No, I'm kidding.
It's probably going to go up on the wall.
Well, yeah,
in
I
her
mean,
house,
she
like in
put
a little
world record
shadow
on it.
box.
It's probably
Yeah,
going to go with the
with the
Adidas
medal.
place or whatever, right? So, but like, here's the crazy thing though. All right. So we know, the boy, Eliud Kipchoge went out, he rep shop. He did not get a world record, but he still ran like a 2:02.
The GOAT.
40 or something like that. That's still like one of the 10 fastest times ever or something like
And
that.
his fifth fastest time.
Yeah, something like that, right?
is it his
so,
fifth?
Yeah, his fifth.
but this lady, right? She went from her first. This is her third marathon.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yep.
Her first was 2:34.
Yeesh.
Like under 2 years ago, and then she went from like 2:34 to like I think 2:15 to something in the teens, and then she breaks the world record on her third. In less than 2 years, she broke the world record, right? So that's nuts, man. Talk about gains.
Yeah. Who's her coach?
All right.
Why did she take a subway?
And then freaking Eliud Kipchoge, I mean, he's won like 6 Berlin marathons. He broke a record. Like, nobody's won as many as him, right? So, I mean, now she's from the Ethiopian camp. He's from Kenya. So, like, I find it so fascinating that, like, I mean, this is probably, I should have looked this up to be for sure, but I know for a fact it's at least the third or fourth time in the last, like, 2 years that the female world record's been broken in the marathon.
In the Berlin specifically?
No, just
No,
in
just
general.
Oh, in general?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's 26.2 miles. So, anybody that runs faster than whatever, Berlin just tends to be faster because it's a flat course, right? The weather's usually perfect. It's a really good course. So it tends to be one of the fastest courses.
When are you going to PR to go run Berlin, James?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't like running marathons that much.
Yeah.
Travel all the way to Berlin to do it. So, but that means something's going on. It's something in the water
Something in the air? That
or something in
clean
the
air?
training, or is it the shoes?
Well, and also, I mean, the dude who got second behind Kipchoge lost by like 30 seconds. So, like, times are just amazing.
They're getting better, man.
Everyone's times are
Getting better.
on
Yeah, I was
top.
looking at Eliud Kipchoge's like times, and it was like showing me his top fastest, like his top 10 times, and then he was going over his top fastest 5 times of the 10. They're all like 158, 159, 201. Everything was like, there was not a time over like 204, I think, or something
no,
crazy.
yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah, dude's fast. I mean, he's crazy. I mean, and then just a few weeks ago, they had the Prefontaine Classic or whatever in Oregon.
Oh,
the
yeah.
track meet, right? And
Shikari destroyed it.
yeah, she did great. She didn't win though. I don't think. I thought that was
For the 100 meter?
Yeah, I thought Sharika Jackson won that one.
She's our fastest
You're
one.
thinking of the World Championship.
Yeah.
But
I
the
thought-
Prefontaine Classic was after the World Championships because the World Championships I think were overseas somewhere.
Budapest, right?
I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
remember.
Budapest.
But I thought for the Prefontaine Classic, I thought Sharika Jackson beat her. So I could be wrong. I don't know.
No, it was Shikari Richardson with 10.65. That was part of my research. 10.65 seconds.
For the Prefontaine Classic?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. You're right. For the Budapest Championships. I did have the Prefontaine Classic on here.
Yeah. I could be, I thought, because I just watched the thing about, I watched the track meet, right? So, and then I saw something about her. But I thought it was Sharika Jackson that won. Because I thought she won the 200 and the 100 meter, and she's like a Jamaican runner or what have you.
You're right. You are right. When I was looking at my Prefontaine Classic, I was looking at Elaine Thompson, but that was from when she did 2021 because
Yeah,
that was like
a
the
couple years ago.
fastest time
Yeah,
overall.
that was for the Olympic trials or something, right?
Yeah.
So, but then freaking that Yakob Ingebrigtsen dude broke the 2-mile record. I think he broke the 3,000 meter record, and then was seconds away from breaking the mile record, right? So the mile record's held for like 20 something years at 3:43 something, and he ran like just a few seconds slower. He was
Dude's coming for
like
it.
this. His goal was to break the record, and then some guy from America got second, and he almost broke the record. Like of the mile, they said this was probably one of the fastest miles ever ran, or what have you. Of the like, I don't know, 15, 20 guys that were in the event, like 90% of them were under 350.
Oh my goodness.
That is crazy, man.
These are sub-minute splits.
Yes. Think about that. That's like they were running 56-minute laps.
Yeah.
56 minute, like 400 meters, man.
Oh my goodness.
Fast.
So, like, I was like curious because
That's a fast 400 meter time.
that is, yeah, it is. Like if you were in high school, it's like crazy. So I was just curious because I've seen that Yakob Ingebrigtsen guy. He's been coming up. He's only like 22 years old.
A lot of these guys are really young.
Well,
They're
I
like
mean,
coming straight out of college.
Yeah, they're young. I mean, you're gonna have to, it's a young man's game, right? It's like kind of the longer distances,
Especially short distance, yeah.
For
Yeah.
the longer distance when they start, you get a little older. So it's almost like once you get too old to run short distances, you start running half marathons.
Yeah,
and
you have a
marathons.
little more time to work
Yeah.
with.
But that Yakob Ingebrigtsen, at 16 years old, he was the youngest guy to ever break 4 minutes. So he ran a 3:58
Ew.
at 16. Okay, that's nuts. That's fast. He broke the 2-mile record like just a little bit ago, like a few weeks ago, a few months ago, whatever, and he ran a 7:54. Now do the math on that.
For 2 miles?
He ran 2 miles and broke the world record at a 7:54. At the age of 16, he ran a 3:58.
2 sub 4 minute.
So he ran faster for 2 miles than he ran for 1 mile.
That most people run 1 mile.
Well, yeah.
That makes my body hurt thinking about
But
it.
if you think about it, though, from 16 to 22 in the last 6 years, he's taken off that much time off of 2 miles, not just one, right? He ran a 3:58 at 16. He just got through running a 3:43. Think about that.
So here's my question. Is it sheer talent? Like just God-given talent? Or is it the training? Is it in the water?
Genetics.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure genetics, because his whole family, like his brothers, are all professional runners. But I was watching an interesting, like kind of not a documentary, but it's kind of like a story about him and his mom and dad. Like ever since he was probably like 10 or 11 years old, like he's been running with his brothers. He's been training with them. They make them go to bed early. They eat. Like they even will stop in like friggin' in the middle of their sessions. They'll do lactate tests where they'll prick their fingers to get blood, right? Because you can buy little kits now. I mean, you could go buy a kit.
Really?
And you could use it, and it'll test your lactate levels in your blood, so you kind of can get a concept of what paces you should be running, right? So you know, okay, I'm running too fast, I'm running too slow. So they'll take lactate tests in the middle of their lactate threshold workouts or whatever. So like they're doing all this stuff, but he's been doing it since he was like 10 or 11 years old. So maybe genetics has something to do with it, but this dude's been training regimented.
He's living, breathing.
He's like
running.
literally grown up living a life.
He's living it, right? So, and listen to him talk at 22 years old. He's talking about, you know, you got to have most of your runs easy. You gotta, you know, you gotta like sleep. You gotta recover.
You do recover.
Right? So
Well,
he's
he's
talking
12
about all this
plus
stuff
years
at
in the
22
game.
years,
Yeah.
huh?
He's 12 plus years in the game.
Yeah, exactly. The dude has, I mean, and technically he's been, so he actually was in the Olympics, right? At like 17 or 18 years old. And I think he got, I don't know if it was gold or silver. I think he might have gotten gold. I think he got gold in the 5,000, I think. I want to say that's what he got. And at 17, 18 years old, right? So he's had a professional career already of like 5-6 years,
Well, everyone else is
He's
just
only
taking their
22.
SATs.
right? Think about that. That's crazy, man.
So basically, parents, you start your kids off really young and you get them in that lifestyle. And guess what? Maybe you too will have a world record
Yeah, I mean, it's
runner on your
I know
hands.
right now the insanity of like the people that are doing. I mean that the lady Asafa, whatever her name was, or
Tigist.
Asafa, whatever. She went from a 2:34 to a 2:11.
That's insane.
20 something minutes off of her
insane.
marathon in a year.
Yeah, and
Right?
especially for someone who's already had that fast of a time.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a big jump.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the average, I think to qualify for the Olympic trials for women, it's like 250, 245. You have to be under 250 or 245, I think, to qualify for the Olympic trials. So if she's doing a 234, that means she's at the top end, right? Already. And she's improving off of that. So like training has come so far, like in the last 100 years. I mean, you know, 80, 90 years ago, people thought it was impossible to run a 4-minute mile. They thought you'd die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like literally, like you'd cross the finish line and just die. And a dude just crushed that with 3:43 and then did 2 back-to-back at 7:54, right? So obviously things have like adapted. The human body's adapting. I think training philosophies have changed. And so like, I think I hear these numbers and I'm just thinking like, this is just, and the only reason they sound so crazy to me is because I run these things, right? And I know how hard it is to run these distances
Yeah.
and some of these races, and like thinking to myself, dude, on track day on Sunday or whatever, I'm out there, we're running, 600-800 meter repeats, and we're doing a minute and a half
Yeah.
laps
Sub 6 splits.
or
hopefully.
we're doing minute 15 laps, right? And I'm dying inside a little bit, and these guys are out here like beating that by like they're doing, their 1K repeats in like 2 minutes,
Yep.
250, right? Something like that, right? That's just crazy, man.
It kind of shows you science as well.
It does.
I mean, one of the things I was looking up is how I saw, like a lot of these runners, they don't even depend on their heart rate that much. It's different things that they want to say it's almost feeling, but not as feeling. It's like it's heart rate, it's your VO2. There's so many things that
Your
go
lactate
into
threshold,
it.
yeah.
There's so many things that go into it. And one coach is like, it's not just heart rate. We don't focus on that, but like sometimes it is the feel, because you know when you, especially the elite, they know how they're supposed to be feeling. If they're like hurting a little bit, they cut it off because they want to prevent these injuries and all that type of stuff. But it's insane how much like they go into detail, because I use heart rate as my parameter right now. My heart rate's high, then I stop. It's too high. Like, that's what I'm using. These guys are using so many other things, like you're saying, the prick, the lactate. They want to see
levels. Yeah.
They want to see all these things. It's crazy how into detail they go. They make every single run count, and they focus on every single little thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, us mere mortals wear like our watches and Garmin's and whatnot when we train so we can keep our data. But I'm assuming you probably found this in your research, that at that level, obviously, we know they're not training solo. They're training with teams and groups. Mm-hmm. Do they wear watches, or do they just have people who all track all that for them with everything else?
No, they wear watches.
They do wear
watches.
Yeah. You can follow Eliud Kipchoge on Strava. Seriously.
I don't want to be
You
intimidated.
can follow him, and you can see what his runs are every day.
I don't want to feel inferior.
So I think the thing is, I think some people look at, like I look at these, right? And I look at, so one thing I was taught at a young age is like, if you want to be good at something, if you want to do something, find somebody that's better at it than you or
and
successful
copy
at
them.
it, and look at the things that they're doing. You may not necessarily copy exactly what they're doing, but they must be doing something right.
Sure.
So it wouldn't be a bad idea to see what it is.
Sure.
Right. And I've heard coaches and other people say, you shouldn't look at the elites and do the things that they're doing. And I don't think that's good advice at all. Now, maybe you're not going to run, because that was one of the things that pretty much all these guys, even, the people running the shorter distances, they're still running high volume mileage.
Yeah.
Right. So, high volume is going to be different based on the person and their progressions. Right. But what I find is that most people that I either talk to, like that I'm going to be coaching them, or like I meet them out and about, like at other running groups and things like that, and you talk about mileage and they're like, hey, I'm a runner. One thing I hear a lot of is when I ask them, like, how much mileage are you running, right? They're like, oh, I run a lot. I run like 10, 15 miles a week, okay? And not to say that's not a lot of miles, but when I tell them, hey, if you want to run a marathon, you probably should be doing like more than 45 or 50 miles a week, they're like, that's too much mileage. That's way too high, right? And so one of the things I've, in my opinion, I see is that people want to get these big goals, like qualify for Boston or do a sub. What's a good time for a good half or a good full? Like, what would you think is like a good goal time?
Like for the average Joe?
Yeah, just for anybody.
Sub 4 on a marathon.
Okay.
Sub 2.5.
Okay. So sub 2.5 for a marathon.
No, sub 2.
2.5, 2. I would say
4.5 is what I guess I meant to say.
I'm gonna
for
say
a half marathon.
I'm gonna say most marathons.
Sub 2 for a half marathon.
Yes.
Okay, that makes more
Oh,
sense.
okay,
yeah.
that does.
Right. So sub 2 for a half marathon,
The
and sub
4,
4.
sub
right?
4,
So those
yeah.
are like good benchmark times that a lot of people like try to go for. But it's almost like they have this goal of hitting this number, but like they want to get it with like the bare minimum.
Yeah, without having to put that much effort
into it, right? So like when they take their nutrition with them, if they take nutrition, they try to take as little as they can instead of like what they need, or like as much as they can to not upset their stomach, right? Same thing with water. Same thing with speed work. It's always like, what are the bare minimums I can get by with to meet like my goal? Whereas with like these elites, they're doing what are all the things, not what's the bare minimum I can get by with. They're like, what else can I add? What else do I need to do? Right? I was kind of looking at like the training regimens, and they were all very similar. That's what I found very fascinating, is that I think for their speed works and some of their, the track days and, things like that, they had different style of workouts. But on average, like from marathon all the way down to like the 1,500 meters, okay? So just under a mile. On average, everybody was running anywhere from like 90 to 120 miles a week, okay? They, for the most part, were doing 2 workouts a day. So they'd run in the morning, they'd run in the afternoon. Tuesdays was usually track day, and it was usually a really hard session. And then like Thursdays and Fridays, they do like more like, they call them progressive runs, where like it's an easy run, but if somebody wants to go, they go, right? So like it's like big groups of running together, and sometimes people will take off, and then they just try to keep up with the group, right? And sometimes they just run slow the whole time. But for the most part, they're running high volume. They're running 80. Most of their stuff is super duper easy. They always do some sort of slow, easy recovery workout after a hard workout.
Yeah, cool-ups. They do cool-ups and
They
cool
do
downs and
warm-ups,
warm-ups.
cool-downs.
Yeah.
They do drills.
Yep.
Every
Drills are
day they're doing
huge
drills.
part of it.
They're doing strength work. They're eating constantly, and they're sleeping.
Yeah.
Right? So they're trying to do everything they can to go through like all the things necessary to help them shave off a few seconds. Right? So Eliud Kipchoge, in I want to say 2021, he ran a 2:01:39 for a marathon. Broke the world record. His own world record, by the way. But he
Yep.
broke the world record. The next year he came back, he ran a 2:01:09. So he took 30 seconds off. Okay? So he got a PR, right? He spent a year to get 30 seconds. So this dude, I mean, obviously when you're at that level, right, every millisecond, you know, everything, every little detail counts. But like, wouldn't we maybe try to take some of those cues from them if we want to get these big goals? Don't you think that would be a smart thing to do?
I mean, yeah.
Sorry, keep going.
That would be the smart thing to do, but it's also we got to break our intimidation that they have against us without even trying.
I think people like we look at like Eliud Kipchoge and like Asefa and all that and Shikari, and you have them on such a different level. Like they're on a whole nother level. So I think a lot of people just like don't even consider what they're doing because they're like, I'm not that. I'm not this.
I'm never gonna be that.
I'm never gonna be that. It's too late in life for me, or I'm not a paid athlete. It's not my job. I've got life to worry about. So I think people don't even think about it because it's so far removed from their realm of possibility.
But not even that. Also, like, if I go run, I get 30 seconds PR in a race, I'll be mad.
You're upset.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
How many of your athletes
95%
are
of my
upset?
clients, if they got a 30-second PR, they would not come back to me. They'd be like, this isn't a PR.
I mean, if I get a 30-second PR, I still whine. I'm still like, ugh.
You whine about everything.
I do whine about
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, let's keep moving.
Yeah, if I got a 30-second PR in a race, I'd be mad. I'm like, what the heck? Like,
Yeah.
I trained so long for 30 seconds.
Only 30 seconds, and this guy, like, we're like 30 seconds. Hey, it's a whole 30 seconds
to me,
off of an
that's like a
impossible time.
Step faster.
It's another step faster past impossible.
Yeah.
Right? So, I don't know. Well, I think so, like with training, okay, I think this is going to sound really harsh and really mean, but I feel like I've been really harsh and really mean lately.
You
So
have
it's
been.
just
Keep it going.
Let's just keep it going, right? Keep it running. I'm just being honest with people.
It's the season.
I think people are freaking lazy.
No, I would agree with
I think
that.
that's it. I think we as a human species, our culture, we're lazy.
I would agree.
And we think we deserve and we want to get as much as we can with as little effort as possible.
Entitled.
Right? So yeah, I think entitlement is probably a part of it. And so we go around and we're like, we pick a number.
Yep.
Right? Whatever. I don't know what it is, right? Where, if you're doing a race, you pick a random number and you're like, this is what I want to do. Right? And there's nothing wrong with setting big goals. I think those are the only kind of goals you should hit, right? Or set, right? But you also have to manage your expectation based off of the effort you're willing to put into your goal. Right? So if you want something big, you're going to have to do a lot of work for it. Okay? If you don't want to do a lot of work, you have to manage the expectation and realize you're not getting something big from it.
Yep.
Okay? And then there's a thing called the law of diminishing returns, which means the better you get, the harder you have to work for fewer results. Okay?
I heard you talking to one of your other athletes about that same thing, and I think she was like, she had these goals, but she felt like she wasn't making progress. And you literally told her about the law of diminishing returns. You're like, it's going to get harder because you're getting better. So
Right.
you're going to have to work even harder for these goals.
Yeah, but I think sometimes, we have short memories.
This is
We
true.
have very short memories, right? So I think you and I were talking the other day, right? And you were talking about how you had a race at the beginning of the year, right? And you had like best race ever, PR, second place, right? You were super excited.
Super stoked.
Like clapping hands.
I was on cloud nine over that.
Right? A few months later, you went and did another race.
Same series.
Same series,
Same
whatever.
race, technically.
Right? And you were so upset.
I cried for a week straight.
Yeah, there you go. Now, it was slower than the PR.
Slower than PR, still my second fastest time.
And you're still your second fastest time ever, right? And like you were like, well, sometimes because I think we were talking about something about linear, like you were talking about training as linear or something.
I've asked you before, like, because I've seen people say progression is not linear. It's never going to go straight up like this. It's kind of going to have hills, valleys, peaks, and dips. And I asked you, do you think progression is linear? Do you think it's always going to go straight up?
Right. And so I think what I was responding is I do think it's never linear. And I think the reason it's not linear is because your training is not linear. You don't just keep going up. You go up, you take a break, you go up, then you have to race and taper, right? So your training is always going to be like going up and leveling off, going up and leveling. Then you take these drops. So your fitness as well. But in this instance, I don't think that applies. I think one of the things we talked about was during those, the most consistent training you did was from like, I don't know, probably October to or November to January, right?
Yeah.
You were running your most mileage, you were being the most consistent with your easy stuff, you were doing the hard workouts. Whereas from February to March or April, whenever you did that race, pretty much all you were doing was the hard workouts.
Yeah.
Right? So the consistency fell off.
Yeah, for sure.
So therefore your performance, and it may have been less about your fitness wasn't there. It may have been just that your body was beat up from how you were treating it.
Yeah.
Right? So you may not have just been not recovering properly, right? So that's the thing that I think some people don't understand is that, you know, when we say work harder doesn't just mean
Beat it up.
Right. It doesn't mean just do harder workouts.
Go out there and throw up every single time.
Right. It just may mean. So here's the main
who you
theme
are.
that I found.
I wasn't talking about it.
You know who you are.
Here's the main theme that I found with all of these guys we're talking about: volume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every one of them is volume, and the majority of the volume is very low key.
So what was in your research, Rocky, because I know you found this, how many hours did you say, or is it hours or mileage they log, like weekly for like these ultra? Didn't you find something
Oh,
on
yeah.
that?
The hours yearly.
Yearly,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what it was. What is it?
The marathon runners, they put 500 to, I got it wrote down, 500 to like 800 hours a year in total in
Yeah.
running.
So you're talking a couple hours a day.
So like 14 to
Yeah.
15 hours a week, I think is what the math comes down to on
Yeah.
that. And how many hours do you put in a week, do you think?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe 10 to 12.
I
depending
think-
on the week.
I think my math, I said I did like 8 to 9, like 8.5 or something
Yeah.
like that. So I'm thinking like 15 hours a week. Again, it is their job, but
Yeah.
you can always make time.
Well, if you think
for the
about it,
work.
so I told you, most
It's
of them.
11 and a half hours a week if you do 600 hours of running.
Yeah. So most of those guys are doing 2-a-days.
Yeah.
Right? So they're getting up in the
breaking it
morning,
up.
they're doing a session for about an hour, hour and 15. Then in the afternoon, they're doing like 5 to 10K, so another 45 minutes to an hour, right? So they're doing on average about 2 hours a day. The Kenyans are basically doing that almost exact number because they take Sunday completely off, right? They don't do anything
saw
on
that.
Sunday at all.
That's their rest day.
So, you know, if you think about that, I mean, that's a lot of work. That is a ton of load and ton of volume. But I mean, talking 2 hours out of your day, how much time do you spend watching TV?
On your phone.
How much time do you spend like on social media? How much time do you spend like just like farting around doing a bunch of nothing, right? So, like technically, you could have the time if you wanted the time. So I'm not telling you to go out there and run 100 miles a week. There's obviously a thing called progression, right? And there's a right way to do it. But like if you want to get your best effort out of your training, well, maybe the key is you need to do more volume.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the more volume you can do, now it justifies doing the extra speed work, right? Or the hard sessions and stuff, right? So like one of the sessions they did, man, one of the track workouts they did was 600 meters times 20. So 20 sets of 600 meters. Okay. So you're talking 12,000 meters, something like that. That's like 12K, right?
It's a lot.
600 meters. Yeah. That sounds right. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's 12K.
I like how you had to really convince yourself that your math was
Well,
correct.
he was looking at me, and when he looks at me like that,
We're looking
it
at the
makes me doubt
accountant over
myself.
here.
Oh, my fault.
It makes
You're
me
the
doubt
accountant.
myself because he's the accountant, right? He's the money man. So, I mean, dude, that's almost 9 miles of speed work. You're talking like 7.5, 8 miles of speed work. And when I say speed work, they're doing 600-meter repeats. That's a short interval set.
Yeah.
So,
That's
like, if their race pace is, I don't know, we'll say 5 minutes because it ain't. It's more like 4:30.
Yeah.
But let's say the race pace is 5 minutes. That means they're probably running those 600-meter intervals at like
110.
3:30 or something
Yeah,
like
150,
that, right?
yeah.
So they're running these paces at like breakneck speeds, and they're doing it for 20 repetitions, man. So that is a grind plus the warm up, plus the cool down.
Can I just tell you that after our Sunday workouts, now that we're doing 800s, I'm like, I miss 600 repeats.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to imagine. We only do it 5 times right now,
Yeah.
and I'm like, 20 times.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we also have
Yeah,
workouts.
we do workouts in between.
That's true.
They
We do
They're not
workouts
doing-
in
they're just
between.
running, right?
But
So
still,
it's a completely
at that,
different-
But again, at that speed, they're hand holding.
But that's the thing is, like, I'll see people a lot of times who are training for a half marathon or a marathon, and they're like, oh, went out and did my speed work today. And it's like, they did like 4 sets of 400s.
Yeah.
First of all, that's a mile.
That's not going to prepare you for a marathon.
Right? That does not prepare you for a marathon. Second of all, if you're running it at the pace you should be doing it for a 400 meter, you're running significantly faster than your race pace for a marathon.
Yeah.
Okay?
So actually, one thing I was looking up is how quarters for the 400 meters, like that speed work, it's really like one of the most famous things to do. But these guys are doing like 20 of them.
Yes.
And they're doing it at half marathon pace. They're running even faster than what their marathon pace would be.
Right.
So, and they're taking 60 seconds of break or, 90-second break, and they're going right back to it again. And so, like, that's fast. I mean, you're going fast. You're pushing yourself faster than what you think you're going to go.
And it's high workloads.
It's high workloads, but you're also, that's one thing of the benefit was it's speed work, and you're getting miles in it, but you're taking that little bit of break load, but a little bit of break, but it's helping you out in the long term.
Helps you recover,
because,
right.
Yeah, you're able to get that lactate.
So I see these, and so volume is king, right? And so, but if you don't do high enough easy volume, then you can't justify doing any kind of load for speed work, right? It always cracks me up. So when I have clients and stuff that come in, athletes, the first thing that I try to do is teach them to slow down, right? So they can learn what actually easy looks like, okay? And so, because nobody knows what easy feels like, right? They're always doing the medium stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, it feels easy. And then they learn how to run easy, and they're like, oh, this is what easy feels like, right? And then I'm like, all right, now it's time to do speed work. And they lose their freaking minds most of the time. They're like, you want me to go how fast? For how long? I'm like, you can do it. You can do it. You need to feel what hard feels like, right? So they mentioned this, actually, I wasn't talking. I was watching the Kipchoge's coach. He was talking about like their threshold efforts and some of their longer speed efforts. And he said it trains your body, but more than anything, it trains your mind, because it trains your mind to like be uncomfortable, because you're going to be uncomfortable. It's going to happen.
Yep.
And so listen to these guys talk. Like this one guy, he was talking about being uncomfortable and training and hard days. And, if you don't keep up on the progressive runs, they'll just get dropped and you'll get left behind. You'll be running by yourself. And he's like, if you do all this training and you do it right, running a marathon's easy.
Yep.
Now, this dude's running a 2:04, 2:05 marathon. And he's talking about how easy it is to run a marathon.
But when you think about, though, the collective amount of work they've put in, I can see why he'd say that. If you can, get through all this work, all the hours, all the miles, the marathon is the easy part.
Right.
Well, and they practice on dirt roads. They do
at elevation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 2,000 meters elevated.
2,000 meters, yeah.
Now,
It's like
when-
6,000 feet.
When they go do the speed work, are they training? They're not running these laps solo. They usually do as a team, right?
Yeah.
Kind of they have pace. They pace each other.
Well, I don't know
Or not
necessarily.
really.
So I think they'll get to the track, right? And these guys are working in groups of teams, right? So they have like compounds that they're working with and stuff. So, there may be, on a track session, there may be 30, 40 guys and
Yeah.
ladies, right, working together. And okay, this is the prescription today, based, I guess, maybe whatever group they're in.
Sure.
And your job is to hit this number.
Yeah.
So
hit
they
this
go
pace.
out, and some people hit the numbers, some people don't.
Yeah.
Right. So you'll see these groups kind of almost like, just like we have on Sunday, where you have different pace groups going out
Yeah.
together, right? And they're working off each other. They're training.
Do they draft when they do training? Is that something
yeah.
they practice?
Yeah, definitely. So they're practicing the technique. Actually, one of the things that I found fascinating, and I think is very smart, is guys who are trying to take that next level, right? Who are trying to maybe they're like sub-elite or they're like right there on the edge. They'll go do training camps in Kenya, right? They'll go to Ethiopia and they'll go train with these guys for a month or 2 months and live the lifestyle and train with them, what have you. And it is amazing, how much fitness they'll end up getting.
Oh, I believe it.
Right? Because they're working with people who are better than them, right? They're training with this really strong group. They have these crazy setups as far as, you get up early, you run, you go back, you eat, you rest,
There's
you
a very
chill,
regimented
you
schedule.
wind down. It's very relaxed atmosphere, right? So there's not a lot of stress and pressure. The hardest things are the workouts, right? That's what you're worried about. And so it helps them kind of there was two Australian brothers or whatever that were professional runners, and they basically just left their home and went and moved to Kenya. to train with these guys.
Would
and they
you-
became professional runners because of it.
If you ever had a chance to go like stay on this compound for like a given amount of time and like train, would you take it?
No.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I feel like that kind of regimented schedule is not for the faint of heart.
I mean,
Like, you have to be dedicated.
The schedule isn't the problem. I could do that because I mean that's what I do now. But like trying to run their paces
Yeah.
and trying to keep up with them, or
I'd
whatever.
quit running.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like
retire.
it breaks your spirit, right? So I mean,
And
obviously,
then
I'm sure they have
at the
'cause
ripe
they do
age of
camps.
30.
They'll have like where you can do like you can go, right? Because he was a coach and he took a group of his people, right, that he coaches, and they're like people who are trying to run sub 4, sub 3. So they're like us. They're just normal folks that went and spent, a week at camp or whatever. So they do those camps where you could go do that.
Ooh, I would. That'd be kind
So,
of fun.
but like, it's just another, and I think that's part of the thing too, is like you're thinking, okay, this is their job. This is what they do. Right?
Yeah.
But there are those people who are like sub-elites who are putting in 100 miles a week, who are doing all these tempo sessions and training sessions, and they have to work a regular job.
Yeah.
They have to work a full-time job.
They have to make it work with their schedule, their families, their home lives.
One thing that kind of shocked me, because you don't see it when you see these guys, but like, so I guess kind of going real quick. One thing I saw this like study that went over elite runners, and like they work in 3 phases: preparation, competition, then transition.
Yep.
And in the preparation, that's where they build that volume up. That's all preparing for the race, of course. But like one thing they focus heavily on, which you don't really kind of see when you see these guys, is strength. Like they focus on strength, the plyometrics. Saying how they do like squats and deadlifts and lunges, like
Yeah.
of course they're not doing like bodybuilding weight,
Right.
but
They're doing light weights. Yeah.
yeah, but they're
still doing
Yeah,
weights.
they're doing strength
There's
work.
still strength
yeah.
work involved.
and
Yeah, they
apparently,
usually do it a few days a week.
yeah, then like apparently like Kipchoge does it a lot more. He focused on a lot more now that he's getting older and everything, because so he can prevent injury. But all that's like building. It's all to like make running more efficient for them.
Yeah.
To help with the mechanics.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So in other words, going back to the first point I made, the first statement is they're not trying to figure out what's the least amount they could do. They're trying to figure out what are all the things that I can be doing
Yeah.
to make myself better.
Yeah.
Right? So like most runners, number one, most runners, anything over 20 miles is high volume. Okay. If you're a marathoner, no. Right? If you're doing a 20-mile long run and running 24 miles a week, there's something wrong. You're going to get hurt and you're not going to hit your PR.
Yeah.
Okay. How do I put this? We'll use you as an example. Okay. We talked about that habanero.
Yep.
Okay.
Your favorite race?
You ran a 106 or something for your lap, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You were very upset with yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. You were still one of the fastest people that were in the group that were out there. Right. There were probably, 50 people that were in our kind of like area over there, right? Probably 90% of those people weren't doing laps of 106.
No.
Right. If they'd have done a 106, they'd have been like,
Super excited.
"Cha-ching," right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So they would have to run more, do higher volume to get to that 106. Okay. You can run a 106 off of your genetics and your ability and your talent, but it doesn't come close to matching what you are truly capable of doing.
Yep.
Right. So many people, and I think I made a post about this the other day, but like basically hard work will outwork talent when talent doesn't work hard. Right. So when you don't do well, you are more talented than I am, but you are not going to beat me. You're younger than me, but you're not going to beat me because I work way harder than you do.
Facts.
If you were to put in 75% of the effort I put in, you would run circles around me without a doubt. Okay? So, but what that would do for me is that would push me to work harder.
Yeah.
Okay? And so that's kind of what the team does, right? That's what those, like the camps, the training camps and stuff, they do for each other is better people are bringing the other people up. But once those other people get up, the better people are like, I got to tighten my game up,
Yeah.
right?
You're constantly bringing people up with
Right.
you.
So you're constantly climbing that pyramid, right? So when you have talent, oftentimes it's really easy to just rest on your talent and not do the hard work.
Yeah.
When I'm like, if you've got the talent, you should be working twice as hard because
so
you have a
much-
higher responsibility because that means your upside is so great, right? So I was talking to Jess on Sunday, or was it? It might have been on the long run Saturday or whatever, and she was talking about running with us or whatever. And
Jess is awesome, by the way. Jess, if you're
and-
listening, you're awesome.
I forgot what we said, but I told her, I was like, listen, I don't get intimidated by anybody. Nobody intimidates me. I'm not gonna let somebody come up in my face. No, and that I love that actually. If like people are better than me and they're like cocky about it, because I don't know what it is. Like something rises up inside of me, and I like to prove people wrong. Lauren knows.
Yeah.
She knows how I like being right.
Yeah.
Right? So I told her, I was like, but I'm going to be honest with you. Like, you intimidate me. I was like, she's like, what? And I was like, you intimidate me because, number one, like, your upside is so much higher than mine because you haven't been doing this very long and you're already amazing at this, right? And if you keep, like if you keep running with us, right, you keep doing these things and you build your confidence even more, you're going to be a monster. I mean, she's already a monster, but
And
you're
now,
just going to be an
now she's like
unstoppable
kind of
force
starting to
nature.
add more strength
And
into
she's
her.
adding more strength.
So
in.
that's going
She
to
doesn't
help her
quit.
mechanics.
Yeah, and she loves
the pain cave.
That is the thing, is that she can handle being in pain.
She loves the pain cave.
I am a baby. When I start hurting, I start like whining, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I got it today. Oh, I'm struggling today. Oh my gosh, this is so bad. Oh. And I'll just like give myself an excuse to quit. But like she's got that mentality where she can like push through
She'll fight for it,
the pain, right?
which is great.
So when we ran the marathon last year, like I could tell she was hurting. She was hurting the last 3 miles, and I pushed her. Like I pushed her hard. Like I told her, don't even look at your watch, just stay with me. And she stayed. She stayed, and she was running and moving those little legs, and she crushed it. She crushed it at the end. And I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter who was talking to me and cheering me on and telling me to run faster. I'd have told them to shut their face up and get away from me.
I probably would have done the same
Actually,
thing.
I remember running a marathon, and around mile 25, my wife came up to me, and she was running next to me. She was like, she had been driving around, like cheering us on and stuff. And she's like, I'm gonna run with you. And I was like, get away from me. She's like, no, I'm gonna pace you. I was like, no, stay away from me. I was like, I don't want anybody near me. And I hurt her feelings, obviously, but like, I was like, don't talk to me, because I was hurting so freaking bad, and I was embarrassed because she was like, I couldn't keep up with her. I wouldn't be able to keep up with her. I couldn't have pushed through the pain cave. So that's why I like those kind of people, like Jess, intimidate me because if you have that kind of ability and talent, then man, there's no limit to what you can do. No limit. That's why I train so hard, is because I'm a wuss. And I know I'm a wuss, so I have to like, my fitness has to be so high that I don't have to worry about like pain caves and all that other bull.
You want to give people what they came here for?
What'd they come here for?
See how these elite works out?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell them some of their workouts.
Do you
Even
have
though-
one?
Do you actually have some of the workouts?
I have what they do.
Ooh, you got the goods.
No, I got
Let's hear what you got.
let's hear what I got, and then y'all guys got to figure out how to do it. How about
oh,
that?
Jeez, okay.
We'll let you talk, and then we'll see what
We'll
happens.
go off you. We'll come behind you.
Well, they warm up, they cool down
Yep.
before every run.
Warm up, cool down.
They do long runs.
Okay.
Yep.
Long runs are important.
Word. Most important run of the day, pretty
Yeah.
much, or week.
They do uphill runs.
Okay.
Ugh.
Hill training.
We don't have that here in Houston, so
I mean, we have hill country, but you got to find it.
threshold runs,
Okay.
Okay.
fartleks.
Yep.
James talked about this earlier. Progressive long runs. Interval training,
Yep.
threshold intervals,
Yep.
Ugh.
VO2 max intervals, lactate tolerance training, hill
And you're
repeats.
saying all these things, and nobody but me knows what the heck you're
I was
talking
gonna
about.
say we need to like break down
Well,
because
I'm
a lot
just-
of people
I'm
don't
gonna
know what
give
these
them,
terms
and
are.
then we can talk about it.
Okay.
Or
Okay.
like I said, they can go figure it out.
Okay.
Okay.
I did say that earlier. And the hill repeats. And then one thing they do, each one of these runners do at the most 1% is strides, sprints. Like they always focus on strides.
Yeah. Usually
Which-
it's at the end of a run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently they do that.
Yeah.
Every single one does that. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Now these are people who are specifically training for like marathon, or are these like sprinters or who?
Long distance.
These are long distance
Anybody,
runners.
technically anybody over 1,500 meters is long distance
Yeah,
running.
yeah.
Yeah.
So which what I got was 10K, 5K, 10K up.
So you know what I find fascinating? If you've ever been coached by me before and you've ever actually looked at a training plan, every run has this. Warm up for 5 to 10 minutes.
Yep.
Dynamic stretches.
True.
Drills.
True.
Do your run. At least half of the runs have strides at the end of them, okay? That's every single run, right? Depending on where you're at in your fitness level, everybody has a long run, no matter what. Obviously, the long run's different, right? And then you'll have some sort of progressive run, interval training, tempo run, threshold run, something like that in the week, okay? So here's the thing. People never do the warm-up. They never
No.
do the drills.
No.
They hardly do the stride. They never do the strides. Actually, they sometimes will do the drills. Okay. So all these like things I'm throwing in here that to give them, this is what the elites are doing, right? And the reason I prescribe them is because I've tried them and they work.
Yeah.
It really does freaking work, right?
I mean, the drills and the warm up are as I've learned from, training with you, are crucial. They really do make a difference. And yeah, the elites do them because there's the obviously
It's efficiency.
Yeah,
right?
it's efficiency.
You're
It's
getting
warming up your
more
brain and your
out
body.
of the fitness that you have, right? So you're able to move quicker with less effort, right? So thinking about like this type of stuff, right? What you just said, all those things are like what they do in a week.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not like, okay, that's this training block and then this training. That's all they do in a week. So people hear that. And so maybe this is why that person was like, don't do what the elites do. Right. Because all they hear are interval, progression, threshold.
They hear all these hard efforts.
They hear all the hard efforts.
Yeah.
And so they're thinking, well, they're just doing hard efforts. Okay. Well, they're leaving off the warm up and the cool down. They're leaving off the run they do the second part of the day.
Yeah, the PM
where they're
run.
running like somewhere between 6 to 10 miles.
10
where it's
kilometer
super
easy.
easy,
Yep.
right? And so here's their super easy. Okay, so remember, I'm always telling people they got to slow down. Okay, so the Kenyan group or what have you, the group that Kipchoge is a part of. Okay, all these guys are all professional runners, every single one of them. They're running their like 1K repeats around 3 minutes. Okay, so do the math real quick on what the pace is for a 3 minute.
Doing 255.
255 to 305 depends on the pace. Just depends on who they are. Okay, what's the pace?
One more time, what'd you say?
For a 1K, 255. Just say 255. That's fine. For a 1K repeat, what is that pace? Mile. So people understand that, right? Because we don't run kilometers. We're in America. We run them, but we don't know what that pace means.
But we don't translate that.
Yeah, people don't know what that means translated.
441.
Okay, so they're running a 441 per mile pace. 1 kilometer repeats times anywhere from 15 to 20 sets.
Yeah.
Okay, 15 to 20K. That's 9 to like 13 miles at a 451 pace. Okay, you know what their easy runs usually are around?
I'm going to say 7.
10K in 40 minutes.
I'm going to say they bring it way down. Or it's like a 7-minute pace.
They average around 8:30, 9:30 pace.
Oh man, they're like basically walking for them.
So people go out and they run, and they'll run like a 12-minute pace, and then they'll go do speed work at like a 11:30 pace, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, either your speed work's too slow,
Yeah.
or your easy run is too
Too
fast,
fast.
right? So like the progressions are different, right? So like my easy run, so like this morning I ran, I don't know, I did like 5+ miles, whatever, on the trail. Average pace is around 11:30. Now my heart rate was like 119, 120, pretty much. It was blue the whole time, right? Super chill, very easy, right? Well, tonight I'm gonna go run a tempo run or a threshold effort at closer to 640 pace. So 11:30 and 640. Is that a little bit different?
Yeah.
Okay, those are drastically
Quite
different.
different.
Oh, we're doing
okay?
that tonight again?
Yeah. Well, at least I am. We'll see if you show up.
I'll be there.
Okay. So
PM
you heard it.
workouts.
Y'all heard it.
I've been coming.
You
since
came last
PM.
week. Yeah.
Yeah.
You came last week. You can't say I've been coming.
I mean, I did core last night.
Yeah.
We miss you on Sunday.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. Keep going. Keep moving forward. So, like, that's a huge difference in those efforts. But one effort is a recovery / like easy run, aerobic run. The other one is a lactate threshold run, right? So I'm pushing myself, right? So what I find is when you're looking at these elites, they're doing basically ends of the spectrum workouts. So either everything is like most of it, 80%. That was the number they kept throwing out, 80, 80, 80,
Yeah,
80,
literally 80
right?
or
80,
more.
20, right? 80% was super duper chill and low key.
Yeah.
The 20% was on the other end of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
There was no like the only thing that might be considered middle of the road is when they did like the progressive long runs.
Yeah, but I say the long runs.
Right? When they did their progressive long runs, they may start out like at a really slow pace. And then eventually they may they run slow for 6 miles and they'll run like 6 miles at like half marathon pace. And then they might run 6 mile or a marathon pace, then 6 miles at like half marathon pace, right? And they might run the last mile or two like 5K pace or faster, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the progression that they're doing, right? And that all depends on how they're feeling, right? So most days they don't run by how they feel. They run the prescription.
Mm-hmm.
But then they have days like the progressive long run day where that day run how you feel.
But not too strenuous.
Right,
Yeah.
but it can't be too strenuous, right? Yeah. So, but they can do that because their volume is so high. So if you're doing 120 miles a week, that means you could do like 25 plus miles of speed work.
Yep.
Right? So if you're doing six, if you're doing, what we say was 1K repeats times like 15 or 20 sets,
Yeah.
well, that's 6 miles, 9 to 13 miles. You're not even halfway there yet. You still could do some fart licks. You could do some short stuff. That's how they're able to do all this stuff because their volume is so high, right? So what we've got to figure out, I feel like, if we want to be better athletes, if we want to be better and get the most out of like this engine that we have, right? To get all of this juice out of this sucker, squeeze it out as much as we can. We have to figure out, okay, what's my volume that I can handle based on my current fitness level, my current projections, where I've progressed from, and then operate off the 80-20. That's all I do. It's all math. It's very stringent. And most of the time, I do 90-10, right? Like right now, I'm doing like more like 85-15. So like 85% of my efforts are easy and 15% are hard. Like it's like that number is like almost, I can look on my Garmin right now and it'll tell me like, I think I looked at it this morning. It said it was like 80 for this week is like 87-13 or something like that, right? And like 7% are threshold efforts, 5% are like HIIT style, like anaerobic, right? Which is exactly where I want to be because I'm trying to train my lactate threshold because I'm training for a specific race, and I'm also trying to train my anaerobic capacity to a certain extent as well, right? So I'm just doing very specific math to get me where I want to go, and then create a plan, and then I just follow the plan.
So kind of going on, like we talked about, like the easy efforts, getting a little more into easy efforts or like the recovery side of it. A lot of research I found, because we're talking a lot about the training. And so you don't want people to just hear, oh, they just train, which they obviously do. They're professionals. But they also focus a lot on recovery. Like recovery is very, very important.
Well, but to them,
that might look different.
But what I was going to say is like to them, that's not different from training.
No, I know.
That's not separated from training.
No, I know. The recovery
training
is part of the
includes
training.
Running, recovery, sleep, nutrition. All of that is encompassed into their training regimen.
No, I understand, but I'm saying for like the people who are listening, so they don't just hear, oh, I got to just go out and do all these different types of runs. Like talking a little bit about what that recovery actually looks like. Like,
all right, so what does that look like?
So from what I found, the recovery aspect can be anything from like just easy mobility movement. So like stretching, just working through like the mechanics of moving the body. It can go from like getting massages. Obviously, we would all love to go get professional, like nice massages all the time. But, you know, sometimes it's just foam rolling. It's getting a rumble ball. It's rolling on like a softball. Graston, where they like do like the scraping and everything. Anything that's releasing the soft tissue. Active release and just general adjustments. But like that's, from what I found, is very critical as part of, like you said, it is part of the training. It's all included. You mentioned sleep. They prioritize their sleep as like a very big thing. I mean, we're talking like minimum like 8 hours. Usually. And then nutrition. They're eating. They are definitely eating. And from what I found, they're eating a lot of carbs, and protein is obviously numero uno.
Why do you think that is?
Because it's helping feed the muscle.
It's a building block.
Yeah.
Right. So the protein builds your muscles, and then the carbs are what your body uses for energy. Right. So it's crazy. It's like
everything you said.
It's like everything that your body needs. If you'll do it, it'll progress. It'll like perform for you. It's an amazing thing. So.
But I also think, so when I was looking at like Eliud Kipchoge's diet, when I was reading it, I was like, man, this diet looks respectful. Like I say this with as much respect as possible. It looks really boring, but it is. They're very clean. His diet is so clean. It's like a lot of fruits and vegetables, which obviously makes sense. It's heavy in like carbs.
Discipline.
Like, it's very disciplined. Like he's not in. So they get a lot of their meals, almost their food. He said he keeps it as local to the compound as possible. So they're not out going and getting like all these like fatty foods and like processed foods. They're eating things that are very clean. I can't pronounce some of the dishes. They're obviously very local to the culture. But a lot of them are like heavy in like corn or heavy in like oats and like porridges. And then he's obviously focusing on getting a lot of protein in, but like he has like such like a specific like amount, and like he puts a lot of focus into making sure he is getting that fuel because he obviously needs it to do what he does. So people, don't be afraid of the carbs, but also justify like what you're doing for what you're eating.
Well, I mean, and to an extent, right? So he lives a very modest lifestyle, right?
He does.
Especially when he's on the compounds. Right? He's a millionaire. Dude makes millions of dollars every single year. He's sponsored by Nike, you know. He's sponsored by Ineos, which is like a huge company or whatever. So he's not like hurting for money. but he
No.
lives like way below his means, right? And probably a lot of that has to do with his upbringing
He's very humble,
and
man.
where he came from, right? And so he's just eating the food that he's always ate because it's
Yeah.
worked for him,
Yeah.
right? And so he's just continuing on. He's obviously had some help with science and stuff to kind of help maybe fine tune that a bit. So, but you're right. It's all very natural foods. It's stuff that they're growing and they buy locally and stuff like that. And so we actually are hampered, but then also we are also blessed in that we have more options.
Yes.
And we can find clean foods. We can eat, good tasting food,
Yeah.
right? But then we also have ease of access to crap food.
Yeah.
as
There's
well.
a McDonald's on every corner.
Right. So plus, I mean, you can get crap food from the grocery store
That
too,
too.
right? So understanding, I think people give me a hard time. I think the other day, who was it? You? I think it might have been you. Was it you?
Rocky.
What did I do?
When I was eating my lunch or something like that.
I was like, yeah, it must be nice.
Yeah, you must be nice. And I was like, yeah, it must be nice to pack your lunch and cook it.
Mhm.
Right? I got 30 minutes, bro, between class 1 and class 2. So I have to get in there and I can't play. I think I made it was like a Mediterranean steak sandwich.
Yeah, I was like, must be nice.
Right? I had like some filet mignon or some filet.
Yeah, and I
Right?
ate Chick-fil-A.
Grilled it up,
You had Chick-fil-A.
sliced it up, grilled some onions. I had my sandwich. I had like my little pita breads. Had some feta I threw on there, some lettuce, some mixed green lettuce with like some spinach and
Dang,
purple
just rubbed it in
lettuce.
all our faces.
Right? And had some homemade hummus that I'd already made. Had some homemade pita chips or whatever. But I just packed all that stuff that morning, and then I cooked my steak while I was here and ate it. So it was really good. It tastes great, right? Plenty of carbs, plenty of protein, and it was bon appetit, right? But
With
I
chef's
mean,
kiss.
and I did it in like 10 minutes. I made it in 15 minutes and ate it in 15 minutes because I had to teach class, right? So you can do it if you have a desire to do it.
Yeah.
And you really
plan.
and you make it's not even that much. I literally got up that morning and said, "What am I going to eat for lunch?" And I said, "Crap, I don't have a ton of time. Oh, there's that steak. Oh, I know what I could do." And I just threw it in the bag.
Well, and there's things you can do that are meal prep, and this is what I'm kind of trying to work more on doing, because I don't love meal prepping as we generally know meal prepping, which is I'm going to make 7 meals and they're
Yeah.
going to last me a week.
I'm
I
not living
hate
that
eating the
life.
same thing over
Yeah.
and over again. But you can do if there's a term for it, and I'm going to call it half meal prepping, because you're just basically making general ingredients that you can easily mix and match
Sure.
different ways. And then maybe you have something like, in this case, the steak that you have to spend 10 minutes doing. So you're really only spending 10, 15 minutes cooking.
So rice is something you can pre-cook.
You can pre-cook, you can pre-season chickpeas.
Yeah.
You can pre-mix
you can
some
make
salads.
hummus. You can do things. Some of this stuff's already pre-made. Some things you have to make fresh. Like if you want to make guacamole, that's not something you can make in advance, right? But you can. How hard is it to have an avocado and chop it up, right? If you
Yeah.
want to make something like that, right?
I'll do I'll make potatoes, sweet potatoes. I'll bake 4 or 5 of them at a time, and I'll use them for different things.
Yeah.
I'll pre-cook chickpeas and rice and lentils, and I'll have them seasoned, ready to go.
Yeah.
And I'll use them for different things. So you can do steps to kind of set you up for success, and it doesn't have to always be an hour.
And then there are some things you can. So one thing that I do for my pre-run routine, I found these waffles that I really like, and they're not the little streusel. They're like real waffles.
Yeah.
And they taste awesome. They are so freaking good. And I just pop them in the toaster and pull them out, and I rub some strawberry, some natural organic strawberry jam on them, and I eat those, and they're 310 calories.
Yep.
10 grams of fat, 50 grams of carbs, and that's my pre-run routine. Before, when I get up in the morning, I pop that in, and then 30 minutes later, an hour later, I go run, and I feel great. And then if it's a longer run, I take nutrition and stuff with me too. So having pre-done up things like that
Yeah.
really helps, right? So I'm not having to get up and make breakfast. I just throw it in the toaster before I get in the shower, right? As soon as I get out, it's done, right? So same thing with having like protein drinks, right? So as soon as I get through running or get through training, I already have my protein shake, right? So I don't do you can get powders and make your own shakes and stuff like that. But, I just use one that's already pre-made because I like the taste of it and it's convenient, right? So I just carry it around with me. I know, okay, when I leave the house, I got to take a protein shake because I know I'm working out today. And so that means after I work out, I'm getting at least 30 grams of protein, right? I have little protein bars that I carry around as snacks. I bring yogurt with me as snacks. I bring fruit with me, right? So I plan for the day by just throwing crap into my bag,
Yeah.
right? Snacks, apples, whatever. And sometimes I eat it all. Sometimes I don't, right?
Yeah.
But I have the option of having it for whatever reason. So if something the other day, I had a bunch of snacks and something happened and I didn't have time to go cook my lunch. Right? I didn't have time at all. So I ate my yogurt, I ate my protein bars. So I basically technically didn't eat lunch at all, right? And I'm usually around 3,100 calories or so I try to take in a day. I still got in like 2,900 calories, 2,800 calories for the day once I ate dinner. So I almost hit my number, almost. I was a little short. But I wouldn't have hit it if I hadn't planned ahead to an extent and had some like fairly easy things to grab and eat, right? So, thinking about that, those types of things. So here's what it comes down to. I feel like it's like planning, right? So I always tell, like when I get new athletes, I always tell them there's 3 different people that get to a starting line on race day. There's the person who shows up and they have no idea what's going to happen. They're just praying to God they don't die. They're hoping they're going to make it past the finish line. They're not going to get picked up by the bus, okay? Then you have the person who they're pretty sure they're going to finish, but they don't know if they're going to run the whole thing. They have no idea what their time is, but they're convinced that they're going to get a PR. And they're probably not, but, because they have no idea what pacing is. They don't know any of that other stuff. They're like, what are you going to run? Oh, I'm going to run a 159. Well, what do you got to run to get that? I'm going to run as hard as I can until I can't run hard anymore, right? That sound familiar, right? Then you got the person who shows up to the start line, and they're like, I'm running this pace. I have an A, B, and a C goal. Here's my nutrition, right? I'm going to, I'm stopping here. I'm going there. And the only difference between those 3 people, well, the 2 differences between those 3 people, number 1 is preparation, how they plan, and number 2 is success rate.
I feel like with those 3 people you just described, 1, 2, 3.
Oh, I wasn't thinking about y'all.
I know, that's what I'm thinking about though, because I feel like you're
is just
obviously
in general.
the plan. I know, but I just think about how you are. Rocky's usually like, I'm just gonna go. I got this. I'm gonna run it. I'm gonna PR, and I'm always like, I'm here for the banana at the end. I want that banana.
Which all of those things are fine. Whichever category you fit in, that's fine, right? But don't go into an event or don't go into a training cycle with the mindset that you're going to perform like a beast, or you're going to perform and do things you've never done before, and then go about the training the way you've always done it, right? So, the definition of insanity, right?
Keep doing the same thing over and over again, hoping for a different result.
Right? It just doesn't work that way.
Nope.
So if you want big things, you want big results, you're going to have to put in big work.
Preach.
To have the job of an elite athlete.
But here's the deal. 90% of the elite athletes didn't just start out having the job.
No,
they had to work,
they had to
their way
work
up
for
to
it. You
so
have
a
to
lot
work
of them
to
were
get there.
Professional. They had jobs. They were working at Target or something and running, right? Or they were, they were an accountant or something like that, or a freaking. There's there's one OCR girl or whatever that I can't remember. I don't think it's Nicole Miracle, but it's some girl. She's a freaking doctor, and she's an elite level OCR athlete. She's running 80 miles a week. She's doing, strength workouts 4 or 5 days a week. And she's a freaking physician.
Yeah.
Right? Well, she had to go to school for 10 years to get her doctorate or her PhD.
Yeah.
And then, but she still, that whole time, she was a collegiate athlete or what have you. So she works a full-time gig, a hard job being a doctor. And she's still training, right? So for her, she loves the athletic aspect of it. She loves the training. It's her release to an extent, right? So for her, it's not like she's being forced to do it, right? She loves doing it, and she considers it a privilege to do it, right? So, so I think we take advantage of not take advantage, but we
Take for granted.
take for granted. There we go. We take for granted that we have the ability to do some pretty awesome stuff.
I'd agree. I agree. Life is short. You gotta work hard for the life you want.
Hitting our time limit.
Yep. You didn't have to say that.
I was wanting people
We
to
can
know.
all see it. Yeah, we're good. So that's why I think we got to work on that. We got to. So I tell my wife this all the time. United fronts are important. So we got to make people think we know what we're doing.
Oh, we
Right?
know.
So when we come out, we're like, oh, time. Or what was something we did yesterday or the other day? I forgot what it was. Don't be old and don't be senile either, like I am.
Age is coming for you.
Yep, it is. So, just, let's play it off like we know. So next time, somebody set a time, be like, man, you know what? I feel like it's time for
Rocky's
Rocky's
Ramble.
Ramble.
Oh.
right?
So you wanna start
and
that
that would have been
over?
a great transition.
Want to start that over?
No.
Keep
Now
it
it's
in.
time for Rocky's Ramble.
Yeah.
What do we got?
You're Rocky.
You're Rocky, bro.
You're Rocky.
Oh, yeah,
You got to do the
You're the
ramble.
Rambler.
So, volume is key. Volume is
That's why I
key.
talk so loud.
Volume is key when it comes to this running. I learned from a very great coach, probably one of the best in the world, named Patrick Sang, coach of LA Kipchoge. The most important thing.
Yep.
The most important thing is the mind. You can prepare well, but if your mind ain't ready on race day, you're gonna perform poorly.
Poorly.
You can prepare decently, but if your mind's ready, you're gonna do great. So the mind is a
Terrible
great
thing to waste, yeah.
Yeah, don't waste it.
Don't waste it.
Come ready.
Stay off drugs.
Amen.
Stay in school.
Yep,
Stay on the track.
that's all I got.
So here's a question I have before we get out of here. Looking at not just, because I think it's important not to just look at like the road to it, but also the results, right? So you kind of can see, like, if you invest this is what you can get out of it, okay? So looking at all these guys we're talking about, Sha'Carri Richardson, Yakob Ingebrigtsen,
Seth.
Asaf or whatever her name is. I'm sorry. Eliud Kipchoge, right? Talking about these people, right? They're getting results nobody's ever seen before. Okay. Yes, they have access to some amazing equipment and, you know, a great team and things of that nature. What do you take from that for yourself?
There's a few things I take for myself. The actual desire and want, you know, they have that. I want to do a lot of great things when it comes to sports, but I don't, like you said, put in the work. I'm going to put the least amount of work. You got it. I mean, you do the things you want to do. You go out, you do the things. So that and volume, 80%. Like, really, if you look it all up, they're all putting 80% at least.
It's easy.
As easy runs.
Very low chill
Yeah.
efforts.
But then also to not forget about that other 20. To focus on, you know, speed work and actually doing it, putting good miles in when you do it. And not trying to go too hard when you do the speed work. They're going hard, but they're going hard for them. Like, they're
Right.
doing. So one thing I also read online was about them was, like, do not try to hit your splits to look good on Strava. Like, don't try to make these good Strava splits. Do what you're actually capable of. Don't be too strenuous, but also at the same time, don't take it too easy. Like, you got to actually hit the paces you want to do. Try to go for that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that I saw with the detail they have and everything they do. Like, they make every single run count. They literally, every single run is a planned run. It wasn't, oh, I'm just going to do this today. It was like, no, because I'm going to get this from this run. I'm going to build my aerobic base from this run. I'm building my speed up from this run. Every single thing counts. They make everything count. I mean, everybody who's successful in life, every little thing counts to them. They focus on the detail. We had a whole crew of TV here today, last week, and the director, I got to talk to him and I got to see his mind. He got to he brought me into it, how he saw the scene, how every single little bit of detail counted for him. The lights, the stuff on the floor, the chairs, like, he looked at everything. And the people who are most successful in life look at everything. They focus on the detail. That's kind of what I got from there.
Yeah.
From these people.
A lot more intentionality going into it.
Exactly, yeah. More intent. They're intentional.
Instead of just kind of like
Throwing it. They're aiming. They're literally aiming at something before they throw a dart.
Yeah. Lauren?
I would say follow the plan, stick to the plan, and don't just, and this is obviously big for me because we talk about it all the time, don't just get stuck on the pain cave. Like, it needs to, like, be rough to, like, feel like you're improving. You know, like the hard workouts, like, just because we go Sunday, don't just focus on, like, okay, make sure that, like, you're really pushing through that pain. Make sure you're doing the slow runs. Make sure you're doing the really easy stuff, and you're, like, being dedicated to every step of the process to hit, if you really want to hit the goals that you want to hit. I think that's part of it for me, is really committing to the plan and sticking to the plan, trusting the plan, and eating, because that's a big issue for me.
Gotcha.
Always.
Gotcha.
More porridge in my diet is what I'm hearing for myself. How about you, James?
Y'all are gonna.
You've already got, like, you're already so regimented in, like, how you handle yourself. And you're already, like, obviously to everybody here, you're, like, top tier.
No, I'm not top tier.
To us, you are, though.
No, but I will say this, and it's gonna sound probably really bad, and I don't even want to say it, but I'm gonna say it.
Now you got to say
Like
it.
the more I've looked at this stuff, and after talking this stuff, like it reaffirms that I'm doing all the right stuff. That what I'm doing is the right thing to do. And I mean, I've improved significantly in the last, 6-7 years. So that should be proof enough. But then looking at like the results of people that I've coached, and then seeing the progressions of those individuals, like them watching and seeing how the elites are doing it, it helps. It like doubles. It like I want to double down on it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, because I have people that I coach that maybe I've been coaching for a little while, and like they've done a really good job of following the training plans and like running easy and doing hard, and then like weird things happen. I don't know what it is, but like they go through these seasons where they forget all that. Right?
Yeah.
They forget they forget where they came from. They forget like where like what the bread and butter is, and they start falling back into old habits of like not doing the easy mileage, trying to progress too quickly, trying to do too much on any one particular run or workout. And so, I mean, I'm a normal human being. I doubt myself, and I doubt like my abilities all the time. So even as a coach, I'm like, God, I hope this doesn't suck, or I hope this works, right? No matter how many times I see it work, every time there's race day and every time it's check-in day. So like when we do measurements, body fat percentage, stuff like that,
You're
or
just
if
like,
it's
I'm
like
hoping
a
I see
race
it.
day, I'm just like, God, please. I hope these people are successful. Please, God, don't let these people like poop themselves or something and like fall over the side of the, it's just like, I'm thinking of all these things. I'm like, what the heck, dude? Like, this works. If they just stick to the plan and they listen, they're going to be amazing, right? So I think like hearing this stuff just kind of re-solidifies that it works.
Yeah, when I was reading, I was like, I wonder if James read this stuff, because this is a lot of stuff he talks about. It's what he does. I'm like, a lot of the terminology that in a lot of these articles, these studies, are like, man, James must have read this article. He must have read this study. This
Yeah.
is where
Maybe I
he got
wrote it.
this information from.
Do you think about that?
Yeah, no.
No, I didn't
Well, your name's on the
So,
thing.
but here's the deal. Like training, all the stuff that we talk about and we push all the time, it's not like it's new stuff. It's new to most people because people just don't know it. You don't know what you don't know. But this has been around for decades.
It's proven to
And
work.
the stuff that the Kenyans are doing, they didn't come up with it. Like it came from like the Europeans. It came from like, decades and decades of people training, and they went over to Kenya to teach them how to do it. And they just happen to be genetically gifted and living at altitude, right? And they're really good at implementing the freaking plan. So that's what I think that's one of the big things, I think, is if you can get with the right camp, get with the right training group, and you buy into the philosophy of that group, and you let them push you and challenge you, and you follow the plan, then what you are going to see, what you will see, is you will see consistent progression of not one person, but the entire group is going to, right? So you and I talked about this about like a couple, many years ago when we did our, we were doing Spartan races and stuff together, and it was just like you and me and like Leslie or somebody, right?
Yeah.
And we were talking about the groups that were around, like, oh man, wouldn't that be cool? And you were thinking, and I know you said it, you were like, wouldn't it be awesome to have all these people here? And what I was thinking, wouldn't it be awesome to have all these people here and they're all getting on a podium, right? Or they're all getting PRs, right? And so like in my opinion, okay, expert or not, whatever you want to consider it, like if you are training consistently, you should be getting better. If your race times aren't going down, if your body's not changing, if you are not stronger than you were when you started, you're doing something wrong. You're in the wrong camp, you're in the wrong group, or you're not listening to the
You're
coach.
in the wrong mentality.
Right? You're not doing the things you're supposed to do, right? And so that is one reason why I push like these things so much here at BC. It's why I push this stuff so much, like as a marathon coach with Cray, that I shove this stuff down people's throats so much, because if they will just take it and like implement it, you will be successful.
Can't be giving your pearls to swine.
That's true too. I don't think anybody knows what that means either.
I don't think that people are also going to like, you just called them swine.
Hey, you're not swine if you're taking it and using
If
it.
you're taking it, usually,
You know what I'm talking about? So, but yeah, I mean, there's very few things you can guarantee in the world, but guaranteed. If you will do it, if you'll be consistent, you follow the 5 golden rules of running, right? You implement it, you get with a good camp.
Yeah, because I remember when I started doing a run group with you a while back, people hated you because you made a stretch and all that before.
Bro, dude,
He still gets it from like the run
guff
group.
I would get, man. I had one dude
He
one
still gets
time,
it.
like, he walked over to one of the other coaches, like, hey, man, why are we doing this? This is a waste of our time, man. People came out here to run, not to stretch.
Yeah, sorry, we don't want you to get hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, he came to one of my workouts. I broke him. And he was faster than me. Like, he had a half marathon time of like 125,
Yeesh.
124, something like that. I took him to a track workout. I showed him what's up. He's like, oh, I got a heart condition. I got this. And I was like, please, bro. You ain't got no heart condition. I'm not coachable condition. How about them apples?
So you mentioned like getting with a good camp, getting with a good crew. I'm going to give you a chance to do a shameless plug before, we wrap it up. Do you know of any awesome crews that people can come train with?
Well, first of all, it's not shameless because I'm not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ or BC Fitness. So let you know, you want to do things right? I feel like we are probably one of the best places you can come because we're supportive, we're knowledgeable.
You're always going to find people at all fitness levels. So it doesn't
Yep.
matter if you're starting off. It doesn't matter if you are seasoned and you've run 20 marathons. You're going to find someone in the group who you can pair up with and is going to challenge you and push you.
And if you don't live in Houston or whatever, and here's the deal, you can still be a part of the crew, right? Virtually. You can
Via Zoom.
right? You can do these competitions when we go out and together. You can train on the same training regiment that we're training with, right? I have people I coach that are on the East Coast, in freaking West Coast, Australia. I got somebody right now that I'm coaching, and it's really tough. The Australia lady is really hard
Quite the time
because
change.
they're on a completely different time than I am. But I got another one that's kind of tough. They're in Hawaii.
Ooh.
But this thing works, man, and it's tough, but it's easy. And if you can get the right people, and there's good coaches out there, there's other good places, right? But find the right place, right? And then when you find it, actually freaking listen to them.
That's the hardest part.
Listen, be coachable, right? Don't just there's no osmosis. There is no just absorbing it just because you happen to be around, right? All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for coming in. Appreciate all the insights from the crew today. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. So it's what it's all about, guys. It's all about learning a little bit every single day. Basically, our sign off, as the use, is just changing your mind so you can change your life, right? That's something we say, right? But it's something that we live our lives by. So if you can do that, it is crazy where your life can go. So be sure, if you haven't done so, follow us on YouTube, right? Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have a series going on right now about high rocks and hybrid training. We just dropped a new shoe review for a racing shoe, the On Cloud Boom Echo 3, I believe. That's a long name. And we've got more shoe reviews coming. So you probably won't see that Adidas Evo 1 anytime soon.
Unless you want to give to our GoFundMe account.
Yeah, there you go. There is no GoFundMe, but PayPal, james@mybcfit.com. Feel free. Patreon's not up yet, so feel free to just drop some dimes in there. And then also, if you like the show, rate the show.
Yeah.
Right? Rate us, give us the stars, and feel free to comment down below if you have any questions. You can always you can send me an email at james@mybcfit.com. If you want to ask Lauren a question,
Feel free
you
to reach
can
out.
Reach out to her at lauren@mybcfit.com, or you can slide into her DM. She really likes that.
I love talking to
She
people.
loves the DM slide.
I love the people.
And
Most of the time.
You can follow me at Running with James. You can follow her at the Backyard Bohemian, and you can follow him at Sanctified 360. So remember,
If you can change your mind.
You can change your life. Bye.